Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Lore of Vasten Kyth story, episode 7, the penultimate episode of this 8-part series. I hope you really have been enjoying it, and I hope you will continue to enjoy the last 2 installments. This is presented as an audiobook or podcast style, so it's just audio. The cinematics on the screen have nothing to do with it. It's just random cinematics from the Realm of Vasten. So, where did we leave off? Kyth had done the forbidden glip. He did what he should have never done, where he took a bone, he mixed it with Enderium, and he took the form of a zombie pigman, and he went into the castle to break the last portal, because basically the army of men that went in, almost all of them were killed. There wasn't enough troops to do it. So he masqueraded with a forbidden rune into the zombie pigman. He broke the portal. He succeeded beyond all expectations. They actually succeeded. They broke all the portals. But on his way out, he found over 100 prisoners, human prisoners, women and children mostly, in the zombie pigman city. So he left and went back to the human encampment. All the remaining human beings dug deep down within the Nether. And he told Prince Rydar of what happened. And then because the bone rune is forbidden, it takes a huge toll on you. So he fell into a glipper sleep, which means it took him a week to recover just from his trial. And this was even harder than his trial. So who knows how long Kyth's going to be out. This is where we pick up the story right now, okay? Episode 7, Lore of Vasten Kyth story. Hope you've been enjoying it. Please leave me a comment. A like would be great. Let me know what you think of the story. What should Kyth do? How can he rescue these people? What's your ideas, okay? I'll see you next episode. Thanks so much. I felt myself being shaken. Kyth, we need you! Opening my eyes slowly, the world came into focus. How long was I out for? Please come. Gibby stood and helped me up. Well, what's happening? Coming out of Glipper's sleep was so disorienting. The prince has been wounded. We hurried down the twisting hall of our underground base. Wounded men were being carried past me, heading towards our healer's room. What was going on here? We couldn't wake you. The prince insisted that we went without. Where? The world was moving too fast for me. I felt half drunk and still half exhausted. To free them, Kyth. The prisoners. Gibby's jaw was clenched. I knew my friend well enough to know he must have argued against going without me. We entered the prince's chamber, and he was lying in his bed surrounded by aides and friends. Move, I commanded. A gap separated as they saw me enter. Why didn't you wait? I asked my friend, kneeling beside his bed. The sheets were stained red with his blood. He had been bandaged, but from the looks of it, the wound was severe. I couldn't, Kyth. They were suffering, tortured. The prince closed his eyes, wincing in pain. Glancing up at Gibby, he nodded, confirming my thoughts. He must have gotten that info from one of the pigman prisoners. The head healer looked across to me from the other side of the bed. His face was tight. He shook it slightly. The meaning was clear. Ryder must have known that as well. He struggled to sit up. Get me a scribe, quickly. Though in such pain, his voice still firm and resonated with the leadership that had been bred and refined for years. Ryder, you need to rest. With a small smile, Ryder looked at me. I think that I'll have a very long time to rest shortly, my friend. He took a sip of water from an aide. The requested scribe hurried into the room, and the prince spoke. He spoke slowly and carefully so there wouldn't be any misunderstanding. We knew when we entered this hell that it would be a one-way trip, and so it is. The venture was the greatest thing mankind has ever done. We few sacrificing our futures for the entire future of the human race succeeded. People called this a fool's mission when we planned it out in my father's keep in Port Bray, and yet we, the fools, closed every nether portal in the world. Your families will live long and happy lives thanks to what we did. It seems though I will not be able to continue this journey with you. Though our first mission is over, our family's safe. There are people here who need us. Kyth has proven himself time and time again in this conflict. He has my trust and my friendship. Follow him, go and rescue our brothers and sisters from these beasts, and live out your days. Prince Rydar nodded to the scribe. He was finished, and he looked up at me. Kyth, you must save them. There were more pigmen in the castle than we knew of. I fear our losses were substantial. They must have gotten reinforcements from somewhere. I'm sorry. I should have waited. I smiled down to my friend, his energy fading. You don't have it in you to wait when you see suffering. I swear I will save them and protect your people. He coughed up some blood, turned to look at me. Your people, Kyth. Now, my friend, leave me so I can get some of that rest you mentioned. We embraced and I left him. The prince died a few hours later. We had a large funeral for the prince and all the dead, burning them in lava as would be our tradition with all the dead. The number was staggering. After the mission to break all the portals, a total of 429 souls remained. Prince Ryder took 350 men in his rescue attempt. Gibby told me the men who returned numbered less than 80. I convened my first war council. I sat at the head of the table, Gibby on my right, Gilda on my left, General, formerly Sergeant Ward, and the first Tior Sage Fornad, a human who had shown great courage in the battles, Lincoln Eris. Tell me everything I missed. Yes, Your Majesty, General Ward said. Your Majesty sounded so very odd to me. Though I was a prince in House Comely, ever since entering the Nether, I was just a commander of Rydar's forces. For that matter, in all honesty, even at the Zygon Society, I was simply a druid to the others, no prince. We moved against pigmen from the east, having looped around the rear entrance to their castle. We saw no scouts, heard no alerts, and had no reason to expect they had been reinforced. Ward paused. I nodded for him to go on. It's my fault, my lord. I didn't recommend patience and more scouting. It's all right, General. Prince Ryder was many things. Patient was not one. Please go on. We decided that fast, sudden attack would be best. It had worked for our initial portal attacks, and perhaps they wouldn't be expecting another attack so soon. We ran through the gate guards and well into the castle before they unleashed the full counterattack. They were prepared for us. They allowed us to proceed in the castle, resisting hardly at all until we were bottlenecked inside the halls. When the pigmen came, they came in force. Pigmen from the front and rear, while blazes rained fire down us from above. We recognized there was no chance of a quick success, and Ryder sounded the retreat. It was a bloody mess, my lord. Men were getting struck down, hit by fireballs, knocked into lava all around us. It was then the prince was struck. A skeleton of all things. When Ryder went down, the men started to run. I picked up his body, arrowed through his gut, and ran with all of them. General Ward looked down, ashamed. There's no shame in staying alive. If it weren't for you, I would have not been afforded the chance to see my friend once more. I reached out and touched the general's shoulder, trying to be sympathetic. That's when it got worse. Worse? I exclaimed, raising my eyebrows in surprise. The pigmen have something else, my lord. Some sort of super weapon. It's a giant floating face-like creature. It can shoot down flaming explosives on us. The pigmen let us go, retreating again from their castle. I didn't know why at first. Then the ghasts appeared. Ghasts? I asked. That's what the men have taken to calling them. Sire, the explosions were all around us. I would say we lost more than half our fallen during the retreat alone. I sighed. Pigmen, blazes, now gassed. How could just over 100 men take them on? Someone knocked at the door with urgency. Come. Sire, our advanced scouts report a detachment of pigmen left the castle with all haste, the boy said. I looked at my council. Ideas? Reinforcements, Gilda suggested. They were already reinforced? I questioned. Perhaps they were, but maybe they were reinforced by all remaining soldiers, Gibby said, his brow furrowed in thought. There is a second, smaller keep not far from here. I still don't understand how the castle was reinforced right under your noses. The Nether is so unexplored, and 360 degrees across the landscape is a lot of area to watch. This army doesn't use roads. They could have come from anywhere. I thought about that for a few moments. Something didn't seem quite right. At once, I got it. Send your fastest scouts to the second keep and have them investigate it thoroughly. Tell them to look for tunnels. My lord, how could they look outside the tunnels for walls? If my suspicions are correct, they should be able to walk right in the front door. I'm guessing the keep is empty. I broke the council for dinner and went to inspect the remaining men. They were in no condition to mount another attack. Of all the soldiers we had left, most were ragged as could be imagined. Those who weren't injured were exhausted, dirty, and had nearly broken spirits. A few hours later, our scouts returned. It was as I suspected. The second keep was abandoned, and there was indeed a tunnel stretching under the ground between the keep and the castle holding our people prisoner. I suspect the pigmen routinely use this tunnel network to travel. It would explain so much, how they move so quickly between portals, and why we never run into a traveling nether force. We set spies to watch the tunnels for reinforcements incoming and broke for the night. A few days later, the council was meeting again, still trying to figure a way to attack with a vastly smaller army of mostly wounded or exhausted men, and how to do it before reinforcements arrive. The door burst open. "My lord, a pigman army is marching in from the south. I couldn't see the end of it from my hiding hole, but they must number in the thousands. They were entering the tunnel system for hours," one of our spies exclaimed, huffing. Thankfully, we had sent our fastest horses. Now that we were no longer fearing pigman armies marching across the surface of this red hell, we could risk riding openly over the netherrack. How much time? 12 hours, maybe a day. He shook his head. "They're not fast, but they are relentless. They seem to be slowed by pulling these damn ghasts on a leash." "Ghast? Fantastic. How many?" "Sire, 20 or more." I nodded to the scout, dismissing him. There was only one way I could think. I knew for some time, honestly, when I looked back, but I was hoping for another way. Send all the men into the tunnels. My friend stared at me. "Take the TNC and set traps to cave in the tunnels on top of the reinforcements." "All the men, sir?" General Ward questioned. "We should attack the castle now. Take our people and disappear," Gibby urged me. I smiled to my old friend. "There's no time, and we don't have the manpower. They no doubt know reinforcements are on the way. If we attack, the pigmen would simply pull back into their fortifications and slow us to a crawl." The council reluctantly nodded in agreement. "Then what's the point of stopping the reinforcements?" Ward asked. "Because I'll need more time." The full plan was coming together in my head. "Time for what?" I looked at the old general. "To kill them all."